Welcome back. Our guest is Adetayo Adegbemle. He's CEO Power Up Nigeria, and between us and of course with you at home as well, we're trying to understand the increase of electricity tariff by 300%. In practical terms, 225 naira per kilowatt hour, and that doesn't affect everybody. In fact, it is said that it was being explained to us that this increase does not affect everybody, only those in the so-called highbrow areas. But Mr. Adegbemle has just been explaining that if you look at it, the highest band, it actually benefits you more, because if you don't have power, if you're not on that band and you don't have power, you're going to have to fuel your generator, your diesel. There are different costs for not having power. So you might actually end up, being better off. But I want to go back to the point that he made, that it was determined by the regulators that feeders that can supply up to just about 24 hours a day should all be banded together and put in front of people who could pay for it. And then the point was made that, well, some of the people are customers in those areas are saying that we're being ripped off. Not that they put it as bluntly as that. We're being ripped off because we are paying, but we're not getting that value. Please ponder that, sir. I'm coming right back to you because I hear that I have, who do I have on the line? Mr. Teslim has called in. Good morning to you, sir. Quickly now.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Teslim from the Lagos. So I was actually on the point, and what I want to say is that if there is a way the schools can what's it called? This meter gap. That is a huge meter gap. So if there is a way the disco can close up this gap, and we have enough Nigerians, consumers on meter, we would have more revenue for the discos. So the issue of placing this pressure on band A customer, you can't be saying the band A should continue to pay for those who are also enjoying it, but because of power sets and this meter gap, they will continue to pay and pay. So there should be a way the disco would, close up the gap and also restrict and reduce that power set. So we can have enough Nigerians consuming, so the load will be shared. We not place that burden on the band A because they are the one. No, that is not done. So these are the things they should find a way to do. All right, then. Point.
All right. Thank you very much, Teslim. A fine morning to you. But it was just explained by Mr. Adegbemle that those in band A are paying the true cost of electricity. In fact, as close as possible to the true cost of electricity, and in fact, might be cross-subsidizing those that, are on lower bands. So back to you, sir. This whole question of capacity. You said feeders that were determined to have the capacity to deliver up to 24 hours. Could you take it from there? And the inefficiency. There's also the matter of electricity theft. I just hope that all those holes have been plugged.
All right. In fact, the issue of electricity theft should be a full-day program on its own. It's something that we all need to... Because and I will shock your theory, it is not the poor ones that are guilty of this energy theft. It is the rich people in the society. So it is then again, all right, let me speak to this before I talk about, the mindset that we have. There is this belief that we have carried over, and which I would say, I don't think our own government and the regulators and the industry players, especially the major guys that are the owners of this system, of this business, I don't think they are doing enough to try and, change that mentality. And that mentality is that electricity is government light. It is no more government light. Ogori, if you own a bakery, you need to go and buy flour, right? And buy other things to make your bread. Now, what we are finding ourselves in the power sector is that our government has come and say, oh, your bread is sweet, but not everybody will be able to afford it if you sell it at 500 naira. be selling it at 200 naira. That shortfall will pay it. And you know everything with government. They will tell you they will pay it. But the question is, do they pay it? A day will come that you will go and buy flour, and the person you are buying flour from will tell you, sorry, I cannot sell on credit anymore. That's exactly what I was explaining about the issue of gas. We have bought gas on credit to the point that we cannot pay more. Those ones are not ready to give us more. Of course, the national market is taking off our gas, and it's a good deal for them. You understand? So that is the situation we find ourselves. Now, going to the issue of the feeder. I am not here to speak for NEC, please, so don't get me wrong. But I can tell you that one of the things that NEC told us they have done is that before there were about 850 or 800, more than 800 feeders that the discos claimed to be on band A. Now, for those of us that have been talking about, they say we're on band A and we're not getting it. There is a possibility that as we speak today, your feeder has been downgraded to band B. And this was because, like NEC said, they've installed smart meters on all these feeders, and they've determined which one of them is on band A or not. By the time they finish, the sieving, there are about 480 feeders were left on that list. When we went for that, when we went for the hearing or for the briefing, one of the questions that I personally demanded, one of the things that I personally demanded for, is for these feeders to be published so that Nigerians can know which feeder they belong to. Now, if your feeder has been downgraded to band B and they are still charging you on band A, definitely that is illegal, and you can definitely take that one up with.
Okay. So there are these factors in the system, sir. Mr. Adegbemle, sorry, sir. There are these factors in the system. We'll come back to it because I've been holding on to Modupe Adebayo in Lagos for quite a long time now. Good morning to you, Mrs. Adebayo.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. You've heard my credit all along. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for holding on. Thank you for bearing with us.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead,
Good
please.
morning, sir.
Yes. Good morning, madam.
Yes,
go ahead.
Good morning, the other man. I didn't get your name, actually. Yeah.
The guest?
My name is Adetayo.
Our guest is Mr. Adetayo Adegbemle.
What you are saying on the band A, band B, whatever. Actually, I'm on band A. We usually have lights for like more than 20 hours. No doubt about that. But the point is, from 65 to 225, wow, is not acceptable.
Okay, that's short and sharp. Thank you very much for contributing it. Thank you very much, Mrs. Adebayo. He actually says they are delivering. We get light for 24 hours round the clock. Her grouse is that 60-something naira to 225 is unacceptable. As she is speaking, she might also be aware that there are areas in this town that are not bush areas that have not had an hour of power in the past 5 days.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I love you. I love your argument, Uncle Yori. I wanted to ask why she believed it's not a good thing. I wanted to ask because again, this is why we should take a bit more of interest in this sector. Electricity is a commodity, just like every other thing. It is a naira and kobo situation. And I have argued before. I think I was on a program in December or January where I was talking about how sustainable the subsidy is. If you are not able to pay for the bread that we are buying from the bakery, we will get to the bakery one day and the bakery will shut down. Alternatively, the bakery will scale down on the quality of the bread that they deliver. Small time, you will not be able to even see bread at all. By the time, at some point, bread will become a scarce commodity. It is very simple. We are not able to charge, we have not been charging the true cost of electricity in Nigeria. So it is difficult for us to continue to, in fact, it's difficult for people that are running the system to take from the money that they get to now put it back in the system. Because it is when they make profit that they will buy transformer for your area. It is when they make profit that they will extend their networks. It is when they make profit that the quality of service that we get, both in terms of supply and in terms of support, will improve. Then we are not able to effectively do this. And I'm sorry, I don't understand why we Nigerians just believe that we must be spoon-fed. Apologies if this is not, I mean, a lot of people will take...
You know, Mr. Adegbemle, the explanation you're giving us is, as far as I can see, identical to that which we got on removal of subsidy on fuel.
I agree with you, Uncle Yori.
You know, so when that madam was saying that...
Let me ask you this question, Uncle Yori. Since the removal of fuel subsidy, how many fuel stations have you entered and you don't see them sell fuel?
Very, very few. Relatively few. Relatively few.
I have not.
Yes. Relatively
Unlike before
few.
that we are running fuel subsidy. Now, let me add to this, please. Let me add to this argument. Uncle Yori, when we were running fuel subsidy, well, I mean, when we were paying fuel subsidy, what we had was a situation where we were having bogus claims. Nobody can say effectively only 10,000 liters of fuel was brought into the country, and X amount of people were benefiting from it. Those were the arguments. Not that the subsidy is not good. Don't get me wrong. Not that subsidy is not good. But when you do not have data, when you cannot manage your subsidy, it becomes something else. It gives an opportunity for wastage. It opens up the door for people to come in and say, I mean, if I can eat one loaf of bread one day, and government also says because you're in Nigeria, come and be taking bread at our bakery, I can go in there and take 10. Then I'll eat that one that can satisfy me in the day and keep 9 until they get spoiled.
I think it's a culture shock.
That's what is happening with our subsidy.
I think it's a culture shock. I think it's a culture shock.
Exactly. It's the culture shock for us.
Yes, for us.
And I'm going to say this, sir. For people that want to challenge me, I'm going to say this, sir.
That whole government light syndrome.
Exactly. And we need to move away from that line of, mindset. And I'll continue to say this, sir. It's not like subsidy itself is bad. But when you subsidize production, right? Tayo, you are doing these garments. How much are you doing these garments? 20 naira. Okay. How much do you buy the material? I buy the material for 10 naira. Okay, we are going to buy this material for you at 8 naira so that you can remove 2 naira off, your sales price. What that does is that I'm able to now open a bigger shop. I'm able to employ more people. Right? Now I'm able to pay bigger tax to start same government. I'm able to give people funds that they can go back and spend in the economy. Now, you can say conveniently how much, yard of clothes of that material that you have given me that I can now run in my factory and put back into the economy. Our federal government should sit down. In fact, I believe they should do a task force or like a committee that will look at how to subsidize productions. That way we can produce goods at a lesser price. We can compete, even with the Chinese. Because that is one thing. For every bit of unit of material that is exported in China, it is subsidized by their government.
Okay.
So that they can their factories running.
Okay. Let me bring in Mazi Okorafor. I've been holding on to Mazi Okorafor for a long while now. Apologies, Mazi Okorafor. Please go ahead now.
Well, our Nigerian problem is not subsidy. Subsidy is not the problem, you see. Today, this week or over the weekend, Dangote said they were selling diesel at the rate of 1,000 something. Is it not necessary for that to bring down diesel to how much? At least 800 or 900? Because this is homemade. What about homemade? The raw material is here. In as much as the raw material is here, when you talk about the crude oil you can get not more than 6,000 items from crude oil. So if you remove that, That Dangote gets crude oil here and produces so. What happened to the other 500 and 600 and something items you get from them? Now look at, just within the week, police stated and so gave us an alert that at least in Nigeria, we have up to 5 richest men, not only in Africa, but in part of the world. Can they go to all these 36 states of the federation and establish what we call foundation? And who would what? Help Nigerians by bringing what we call subsidized food for people that are 36 states. Can they? But if you know, if they have such people, or the such people have been announced, they will help people know the situation people are facing. In as much as we are talking about high in the citizens. Look, unemployment is the problem that has got the manufacturers will face a lot of problems. One, the raw materials they will get agreed. All these raw materials are being what? Imported. And we're in a country where we export religion, but we import raw materials. Look at the opposite direction. We export religion and import raw materials. Is it not normal? It's not normal.
All right then. Mazi Okorafor, I beg your pardon. Sorry, sir. We're just going to have to limit you to that because it's a very complex subject. So many people want to get in. But I want to also, so that we don't lose our way in the maze that this, often resembles sometimes, Mr. Adegbemle was explaining to us that, look, you see here, there are the feeders. Your feeder, you might think of it as capable of supplying you along the lines of a band A, but I think these things need to be audited so that has it been downgraded or not upon being found that it can't really do band A level of efficiency. Meanwhile, you still think it's a band A. Perhaps those are the people that are complaining that I'm paying the premium, 225 or whatever it is, and I'm not getting value for money. But take Mrs. Adebayo, who just called in and said, no problem, where I am at, I'm getting 24 hours of power per day. Her only problem is, why are you removing the subsidy? Because it was the subsidy that was allowing her to pay 60-something naira, and she says, that is not kosher. So that's why you're explaining. Well,
again,
there are no free rides.
Permit me.
Yes, sir.
Permit me to start my response by saying that Mazi that spoke to Dangote's this thing. What Mazi just explained is not business and it's not mathematics. Mazi was there when Dangote was going to the US to buy crude oil to show up the one that he got from Nigeria. So let Dangote undo his business. That's what I can say. When Dangote when he stabilizes, then we can now see other things coming on board. And you now see the prices coming down because he's sourcing it with Naira, provided he's sourcing it with Naira. Now, that's another argument that our minister put up that I think should also be challenged. He came up and said that he wants Gencos to be buying gas in Naira. Unfortunately, all the investments in gas is in dollars. Recently, the NMRDP, or the regulators of the gas downstream, they increased price of gas from 2.18 for local Gencos to 2.82 or something, a 0.5 differential dollars difference added onto it. That adds to the cost of electricity. We all know that dollar has not been stable until recently, until the last few days, that it seems CBN has been able to get a hang to the magic. Dollar, in the last tariff review that was done in December 2022, dollar was 440 officially in that tariff review. As of today, dollar is about 1213. This tariff review that the NEC has done, I think they use a figure of 1.14. If by next month, dollar has gone to 1,000 naira, NEC, that tariff will come down because dollar will have also come down. And we also pray that inflation does not go up. Now, those are the macroeconomic indices that affect tariff. So if a loaf of bread was 700 naira in December, or 500 naira in December 2022, as of today, that same loaf of bread is going for about 1,000 to 1,003. Why did Miss, what's her name that called? Why didn't she say, apologies, I didn't get her name, sorry. Why didn't she say that, why is the bread going up? Again, we need to speak to, let them produce this light. Thank God that she doesn't have to buy fuel to run her generator anymore. If she is buying fuel to run a generator, it also comes at a higher cost.
Exactly.
That's the reality that we have to face.
Somebody else on the line. Who is on the line?
Ayo, please.
Ayo in Ikeja is on the line. Good morning, Ayo. Quickly, please. Our time is fast running out.
Yeah, thank you. It's very insulting for the man on the program there to be insulting the whole Nigeria that we are being spoon-fed. I have not seen any new transformer. Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
I've not seen any new transformer. Hello? I've not seen any new transformer. These schools have installed. They got the business on a platter of goods, and they've not invested at all. You know, they can't be asking people to start paying before they can start expanding. They should go and borrow money, either from the bank or go to the exchange stock.
Okay.
That's what they should do. They shouldn't expect people to pay for them to expand.
Oh.
That is very unfortunate.
All right, Ayo. Thank you very much for calling in. That's another person. Your comments on that.
They will go and borrow money the moment. They will go and borrow money the moment they are able to charge the true cost of electricity. But as long as federal government is still gatekeeping and paying subsidy on that, I don't think any serious businessman, I'm not a businessman, unfortunately, but I think it is a matter of economics and business. Any commerce man will know that it won't be a good business. How many of the subsidy that government promised to pay, do they pay? They will tell you, oh, don't worry, we underwrite it, it's our debt. Okay, we'll carry it on. Don't also forget that government still owes about 40% of discos. Government did not put funds down to say this is our 40% share of the discos that they're taking over. So I don't know what he meant, or I don't understand. Maybe he was one of those that sold the discos, but I don't know what he meant when he said he got it on a platter of gold. But the day we allow discos to charge, or this, I don't also forget something. Please, let me also add this on Guyori. The tariff that is being charged is not being charged by the discos. It is being charged by the market players, which includes transmission, market operators, system operators, and the GENCOs, and ultimately the gas suppliers. So the tariff we are talking about, the money is not going to the hands of the discos.
All of which make up the true price of electricity that you were speaking about earlier.
Exactly. That's the whole value chain makes up the true cost of the electricity that we get.
We're running out of time, but as I said, it's a complex subject, and people have attitudes. Take Ayo that just called in. Mr. Ayo said what he said. Mrs. Adebayo said what she said. So that, and then there are those who are complaining that we've not seen any power at all in the past 5 days. It's unfortunate for those people, it would appear. But you know, the one thing that we sort of learned here is that there is such a thing as the true price of electricity. Government, as it did in the case of fuel, gasoline and all of that, said we cannot continue to subsidize this, but it's sort of been a shock to us simply because we've always thought of, quote unquote, it being government light. Well, it's been explained that it's not government light. There are all of these bits and pieces that add up to the value, and government is not subsidizing it anymore. So now we have to confront the true price of electricity ourselves. But it still is inefficient in certain areas. And as you were saying, these things will get better as we go along. Is it not so, sir?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, we need everybody to be on board. Learn a bit more about the system so that you can know how to challenge and where to. For instance, my organization, Power Up Nigeria, that's what we do. We interface between the system and consumers. We've tried our best to make sure that the rights of consumers is not being trampled upon.
We're going to have to leave it there.
If you can...
We're going to have to leave it there. Right, I'm so sorry, sir. We're going to have to leave it there. Mr. Adetayo Adegbemle, CEO of Power Up Nigeria. It's a subject that we could, take on for hours. In fact, you said when it comes to energy theft, that's another one that can take up hours. So I want to thank you very much.
Now, exactly.
And sort of sensitizing us to the whole idea of there is such a thing as true cost of electricity, and if we're not going to be deluding ourselves, we have to face up to it. Thank you very much.